The moment she heard those words, Sonia felt the world tilt. "She shouldn't be here," said Dr. Sam. His voice clipped, echoing across the ward like a slap. He stood at the foot of the hospital bed, white coat stiff with authority, jaw clenched tight. The old woman lying there didn't move, except for her hands. Thin, trembling fingers reached toward the ceiling like wilted leaves, her voice barely above a whisper. "Please help me." No one moved. No one except Sonia. She had heard it all before. The way some doctors turned cold when a patient couldn't pay. But never like this. Never in front of her. Two senior nurses giggled behind Dr. Sam. One rolled her eyes. The other sneered. "This is a private hospital," she muttered. "Let her go to a clinic." On the bed, the old woman's tears slipped sideways, disappearing into her ears. Her lips quivered. Her face was lined with exhaustion and something worse, shame. Sonia stood frozen in the hallway, a tray of supplies trembling in her grip. She had cleaned the wound, wrapped the bandage, called for help. This was the help. This was it. Dr. Sam didn't glance at her. "Get her out of observation," he snapped. "She can't afford us." Then he walked away, the nurses following behind like shadows, their laughter soft and cruel. Sonia looked back at the woman. A worn wrapper lay folded over her chest like a protective shell. Her bag, cracked and faded, was clutched tight to her stomach. She whispered again, "Please, somebody, my child." The fluorescent lights buzzed. The heart monitor beeped, a metronome to her pain. Lagos traffic growled in the distance like a restless sea. Sonia swallowed hard. She set the tray down and stepped forward. "Ma," she said gently, "I'm here. I won't leave you." The old woman turned her head, eyes dark with pain but full of something deeper, dignity. "What is your name, my daughter?" "Sonia," she replied, barely audible. "God bless you, Sonia," the woman whispered. Then, from beneath her wrapper, she drew out an ancient phone and pressed it into Sonia's palm. The screen was cracked like a spider's web, the battery barred down to a sliver. One number was saved. Henry. Sonia hesitated for only a second. Then she pressed call. One ring. Two. "Hello," said a voice, deep, alert. Sonia glanced at the woman. A nod. "Hello, sir," Sonia began, her voice trembling. "Please don't be alarmed. I'm Nurse Sonia at Lagos Ultramodern Hospital. Your mother." A tap on the wrist. Sonia brought the phone to the woman's ear. "Henry," the old woman said, her voice thin but fierce, "this is your mother. I had an accident, my son. They're refusing to treat me. I am dying here." She coughed, sharp and wet. "Please, listen to Nurse Sonia. She'll tell you." Sonia took the phone just as it beeped a final breath and went dark in her hand. She stood still for a moment, cradling the dead phone. Her breath came quick. She tucked it beneath the woman's pillow and checked the bandage. Still firm. No fresh blood. But her pulse, too fast. Her pupils, uneven. Sonia needed a doctor. A real one. She cracked open the door. Dr. Sam was laughing at the nurse's desk, discussing weekend brunch. "Doctor," Sonia called, keeping her voice even. "Bed 3 is unstable. She needs fluids. Now." Dr. Sam didn't even look. "Then move her to General," he said. "We are not a government hospital. She's crashing." "She's not our problem," he replied flatly. "I said what I said." The nurse beside him chuckled. "This is Lagos, sweetheart. Not charity." Sonia shut the door quietly behind her. Then she locked it. "Did he hear me?" the woman asked faintly. "Yes," Sonia whispered. "He's coming." But she wasn't sure. She adjusted the oxygen mask, raised the bed, checked the pulse again. She whispered, "Count with me, Ma. 1, 2, 3. The woman tried. Her breath came in sharp bursts. Her chest jumped. Her eyes rolled. Sonia hit the call button. Once. Twice. Nothing. She bit her lip. Moved fast. Opened a drawer. Found a spare saline bag from a patient discharged an hour ago. She hung it. Started a slow drip. Her hands shook. "I will answer for this," she muttered. "But you will not die because someone laughed." The woman's breathing softened. Her hands unclenched. Then, footsteps. A bang on the door. Dr. Sam again. "Why is this door locked?" he barked. "We have rules." Sonia stood between him and the bed. "Please, start fluids. While we confirm payment." "She's fading." "No," he snapped. "Not one resource. You want to play hero? Do it outside my ward." He turned to leave. She let him. Then, a sound changed the room. Boots. Suits. the rhythm of authority. Sonia looked out through the ward's glass panel and saw them, 3 men in black suits, stepping from the elevator like thunderclouds. Security. And in the middle, a 4th man. He walked like the world belonged to him, shirt open at the collar, eyes burning. The receptionist ran beside him, breathless. Dr. Sam straightened his tie, but the man didn't stop. He pushed open the ward door and stepped inside. His gaze swept the room, landed on the bed. The fire in his eyes broke into something else. Something cracked and human. "Where is my mother's doctor?" he asked, voice low and lethal. Silence. Dr. Sam opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Henry turned to Sonia. "You called me. What happened to my mother?" Before Sonia could answer, the monitor began to scream. "Flatline. Panic. Crash cart," someone yelled. Sonia grabbed the defibrillator. "Clear," she shouted. "Shock. Nothing. Again. Her vitals are gone." Dr. Sam mumbled. "Touch that plug," Henry said, "and you'll never work in this city." Another shock. Beep. Beep. Life. Sonia exhaled. "She's back." Henry moved to the bed, took his mother's hand. "Mama." She blinked. Whispered. "They left me." Henry turned slowly, voice ice. "Who was in charge of this ward?" No one answered. "I said who." Dr. Sam cleared his throat. "Sir, I was. But we didn't know who she was. No file. No deposit." Henry stared at him. "So you left a dying woman to rot because she looked poor?" Dr. Sam's mouth opened, then closed. "She shouldn't have been here," a nurse murmured. Henry stepped forward. "Say it." "We thought she was a beggar." Henry's voice cut like steel. "That beggar is my mother." The ward fell silent. And just like that, everything began to unravel. The silence in the ward didn't last long. Within seconds, Henry's voice filled the space again, no longer sharp, but firm, cold, deliberate. "You," he said, pointing at Dr. Sam, "are suspended. Immediately." "Sir, please," Dr. Sam stammered, eyes darting. Henry didn't flinch. He turned to the nurses. "And you, both of you, leave. Pack your things, or security will do it for you." One of them began to cry. The other looked stunned. "Sir, we didn't know." "That's exactly the problem," Henry snapped. "You never cared to know." They scurried out, heads down. Sonia stood frozen beside the bed. She hadn't moved since the old woman, Madame Agnes, she now knew, had come back to life under her hands. Her pulse was still racing. Her fingers still tingled with adrenaline. Henry turned to her, expression shifting. "What's your name?" he asked. "Sonia," she said quietly, eyes wide. He nodded once, studying her. "Sonia," he repeated, as if fixing the name into memory. "You saved my mother's life, when no one else even tried." She swallowed. "I just did what anyone should have done." Henry shook his head. "Not everyone would have." He turned to his head of security. "Lock down the ward. No one leaves until I say so." The doors clicked shut. The hall outside emptied like the tide retreating from shore. Sonia watched him, heart in her throat. She had no idea who this man truly was until now. She'd only heard the name whispered between nurses. Henry Benson, the elusive billionaire behind the hospital chain. The man she had called was not just a son, but the owner of everything around her. And she had gone head-to-head with his staff to save the woman he loved most. Henry stepped forward again, eyes now burning in a different way. "Tell me something, Dr. Sam," he said slowly, voice like a matchstick catching flame. "What oath did you take when you became a doctor?" Dr. Sam mumbled, "To save lives." "To save lives," Henry repeated. "Not to check their wallets. Not to mock them for their clothes. To save them." Sonia flinched. She felt every word land like a blow. "Sir, Dr. Sam tried. Get out of my sight." Security escorted him out, followed by the senior nurses. The door shut behind them with a final, satisfying click. Henry turned back to Sonia. His gaze softer now, even protective. "You," he said again. "You'll hear from me tomorrow." She blinked, uncertain. "Am I in trouble?" He gave the ghost of a smile. "No. You're in the story now." He stepped beside his mother. Madame Agnes stirred faintly. "Henry," she whispered. "I'm here, Mama." Her hand reached for his. "Don't shout. You'll hurt yourself." He chuckled softly, bending to kiss her forehead. "You scared me," he said. She smiled weakly, eyes fluttering. "That girl," she stayed. Sonia stepped closer. Madame Agnes turned her gaze toward her. "She's the reason I'm alive." Henry looked at Sonia again, and this time, Something else flickered in his expression. Gratitude. Admiration. A spark of something not yet named. Stay with her tonight, he said gently. Don't let anyone touch her unless I say so. Yes, sir. As he left, the corridor buzzed with whispers. The old woman in Ward B was the owner's mother. The receptionist stood frozen behind the desk, jaw slack. Nurses whispered behind their clipboards. Security men stood straighter. Even the janitor looked stunned. But inside the ward, it was quiet again. Sonia sat at the bedside, adjusting the oxygen line, checking the drip, watching the rhythm of Madame Agnes's breathing like it was the only beat that mattered in the world. You know, the old woman said, eyes half closed. When I first saw you, I thought I saw an angel. Sonia smiled, brushing a wisp of gray hair from her forehead. Now I know I was right, the old woman whispered. 2 weeks later, life returned to its regular pace, but not for Sonia. Whispers followed her through the halls. Some respectful, others venomous. She's the one who called him. She's why Dr. Sam got sacked. She must be special. They gave her a car. She must be very special. Sonia kept her head down, focused on her charts, her patience, her duty. But her quiet world had tilted. People treated her differently now. With suspicion, with praise, sometimes both in the same breath. Yet nothing prepared her for the knock on the staff door one Thursday morning. Nurse Sonia, said the security officer, shifting awkwardly. Madame Agnes is asking for you. Her heart lifted. She's awake. Yes, and her son is with her. Sonia adjusted her uniform, smoothed her braids, and hurried toward the VIP recovery wing. As she stepped into the room, sunlight bathed the polished floors. The curtains were drawn back. A soft breeze carried in the scent of flowers. Madame Agnes sat up in bed, alert and smiling. Her wrapper was fresh, her posture proud. Beside her stood Henry, pressed gray suit, clean-shaven, eyes warm. My angel is here, Madame Agnes beamed. Good morning, Ma, Sonia said, checking the foreline. Henry turned to her. Good morning, Nurse Sonia. There was something gentle in his voice now, something familiar, as if they'd known each other longer than a single emergency. I told them I wanted my nurse, Madame Agnes said. The one who saved me. Sonia smiled bashfully. I only did what I should. Henry chuckled. Then we need more people like you. He gestured to the chair. Please, sit. I'm on duty, sir. Then consider this your duty, he replied. She sat, nervous. Henry leaned forward. I'm serious now. I've reviewed everything. Those who failed my mother, they're gone. We're launching empathy training for every department. Policy comes second. People first. Sonia nodded. But there's something else, he said, sliding an envelope across the table. For you. Sonia stared at it, then at him. Sir, a token of appreciation, he said. And keys to a car outside. Her eyes widened. I can't. You can, he interrupted. Mama insisted. Madame Agnes nodded. You didn't ask who I was. You just helped. That's why God will bless you. Sonia's hands trembled. This is too much. It's not, Henry said softly. Not for what you did. The room filled with warmth and something else. An emotion that didn't have a name yet. Not trust. Not love. But something that wanted to grow into both. You're being promoted, he added. Senior nurse. Starting next week. Sonia gasped. I thank you, sir. Henry stood and extended his hand. No, thank you. Their fingers touched, and a silence passed between them that neither broke. When Madame Agnes winked, Sonia flushed and looked away. Henry didn't. You'll come again soon, the old woman said. Yes, Ma, Sonia said shyly. And you, she added, looking between them, don't disappear. As Sonia walked home that night, the city lights felt softer, the air lighter. She sat on the edge of her bed and stared at the keys in her hand. She couldn't even drive. She laughed quietly, shaking her head. God, what are you doing with my life? Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated. Answered. Hello. Nurse Sonia, said the voice. Her breath caught. Mr. Henry? Yes. I hope I'm not calling too late. No, sir. It's fine. I just wanted to thank you again. Mama keeps talking about you. She'd like to invite you for dinner. Tomorrow, if you're free. Dinner. With the billionaire. At his home. I don't know if. Don't worry, he said gently. It's not formal. Mama just wants to cook for the woman who saved her life. I'd appreciate it if you said yes. Sonia paused, then smiled. Okay, sir. I'll come. Good. I'll send the driver at 7. As the line cut, Sonia sat in the silence of her small apartment, heart pounding. Outside, the Lagos night hummed. Inside, something had begun to shift, and neither of them knew just how much would change. The black SUV pulled up outside Sonia's building just before 7 p.m. sharp. It was spotless, silent, and completely out of place on her dusty street. Children stopped their football game. Neighbors peeked through curtains. The driver stepped out in a neat white shirt and said, "Good evening, Ma. Mr. Henry sent me." Sonia nodded, her nerves fighting her breath. She wore a modest yellow dress, ironed 3 times that day, and tied her braids back in a low bun. Her mother's earrings glinted in the porch light. She carried nothing but her phone and the uncertainty twisting in her chest. The drive felt unreal. Lagos flew past the window like a film on fast forward. Then came the gates. They opened without a sound. Inside the Benson estate, the air changed. Manicured lawns, jasmine bushes, lights that looked like they cost more than her rent. As the car stopped near the entrance, the doors opened before she knocked. And there she was. "Ah, my daughter," said Madame Agnes, arms wide, wrapper bright with gold threads. "You're even more beautiful without that blue uniform." Sonia laughed nervously. "Thank you, Ma." Henry appeared behind her, dressed simply in a white shirt and dark slacks. He looked different outside the hospital, less guarded, more human. "You're right on time," he said, smiling. Dinner was surprisingly simple. Pounded yam, egusi soup, grilled fish. Nothing fancy, but the air at the table sparkled with something more than spice, comfort. Sonia laughed more than she had in months. Madame Agnes told stories from her youth, how Henry once hid a chicken under his bed for 3 days because he thought it looked sad. He named it Ambassador, she said, shaking her head. Even gave it meetings. Sonia giggled. Henry rolled his eyes, grinning. After dinner, Henry offered to show her the garden. The night air was cool. The path wound through carefully trimmed hedges, flowers blooming even in the dark. By the fish pond, the water glimmered like glass. "Thank you for coming," Henry said, voice softer now. "It means a lot. To Mama. To me." "She's a wonderful woman," Sonia replied. "She makes you feel like you belong." He nodded. "She's all I have. My father died when I was 9. She raised me alone, built me from the ground up." Sonia glanced at him. She must be proud. He hesitated. "Sometimes I wonder. I built hospitals to help people, but I didn't even know mine had become a place where someone like her could almost die." "You fixed it," she said. He turned toward her. "No, you fixed it. You reminded me what kindness actually looks like." Their eyes met. The moment hung, unspoken and dangerous. Sonia looked away first. Henry, you should rest. Your mother might need you." "You just called me Henry," he said, smiling. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he interrupted, his voice lighter. "I like how it sounds." They laughed softly, and for a few seconds, the world felt quiet. Safe. Unexpected. After that night, something shifted. It was small things at first. Text messages from Henry checking if she got home safely. Occasional tea shared on the hospital balcony. Gentle jokes. Soft smiles. The space between them shrinking without either of them fully realizing. But others noticed. By the 3rd week, gossip had returned to the hospital like mold in a corner no one cleaned. "She visits him now. Every night?" "Really? I saw them talking by the garden. I heard she's staying over." Sonia tried to block it out, but the murmurs scraped against her. Until the day Dr. Aisha, the new head of nursing, called her in. "Sonia," she said coolly, "I hear you've been spending a lot of time with Mr. Benson." Sonia blinked. "Ma, I still attend to his mother. Daily vitals, light rehab." Aisha folded her arms. "Be careful. The staff are talking. You've received a car, a promotion. Don't give them more to whisper about." The word stung. Sonia bit the inside of her cheek. "Ma, I've worked for everything. You know that." Aisha's expression softened slightly. "I'm not judging. I'm advising. Men like him, they live in a different world." Sonia nodded, quiet. But inside, the words rooted deep. That evening, she called Henry. "Maybe I should stop coming to the house for a while," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. There was a pause on the other end. "Why?" "People are talking. It might affect the hospital." "I don't care what they say," he replied. "I do," she whispered. "I don't want trouble." He sighed. "If that's what you want. I understand." But promise me something. What? That you'll still pick up my calls. She smiled faintly. I will. 3 nights passed. Then, everything changed again. It happened so fast. Sonia had just ended her late shift. She was walking through the hospital's side gate when headlights flashed in her direction, too bright, too close. There was no time to scream. A screech, a horn, and then, darkness. The world returned in fragments. White ceiling tiles, pain in her arm, a weight on her chest, a voice. Sonia, can you hear me? She turned her head slowly. Henry. His eyes were red. His jaw clenched. But his hand was warm and steady. Thank God, he whispered. What happened? She croaked. You were hit by a car. Near the hospital. The driver ran. We're checking the cameras. She blinked. The car. Did anyone else? No. Just you. He exhaled shakily. You scared me. She tried to smile. I told you I'd stop coming around. Now look who's sitting by my bed. Henry laughed softly. Maybe it's my turn to take care of you. Just then, the door opened. Madame Agnes entered, holding a small bowl of soup. I told you, she said gently. What's meant to be will always find its way. She came to the bed, touched Sonia's cheek. Rest, my daughter. You are family now. Sonia's lips trembled. Family. Henry nodded, his fingers tightening around hers. Yes, he said. And I'm never letting anything happen to you again. Outside, rain began to fall. Soft at first, then heavier. A cleansing kind of rain. But in the hallway, unnoticed by all, a man stood watching. He held a phone in his hand. Recording. Waiting. And what he captured would not bring peace. It would bring a storm. By morning, the storm had a name. It was spelled in hashtags, whispered in slanted headlines, and sent like wildfire through Lagos WhatsApp groups. The video was short, less than a minute. A clip recorded through the hospital corridor window, shaky but clear. Sonia, pale and fragile in bed. Henry sitting beside her, holding her hand, whispering something. Madame Agnes standing behind them, smiling softly. But the caption, that did all the damage. Billionaire Henry Benson's secret affair with his nurse. By noon, it was everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, blog sites, gossip channels. Edited screenshots followed. Sonia's staff badge beside a designer handbag. A freeze frame of Henry's hand over hers. Zoomed in, circled in red. So this is how promotions happen. No wonder she got the car. She's beautiful, Shah. I don't blame him. From nurse to madam. Lagos women no day play. Back in the hospital, phones buzzed with every new comment. In staff lounges, nurses gathered around glowing screens. Some laughed. Others whispered. And in her hospital bed, Sonia stared at the video, her heart breaking in slow motion. Henry's assistant, Philip, burst into the ward around 1 p.m., his face pale, his breath short. Sir, he said urgently, you need to see this. Henry took the phone, watched the clip in silence. His jaw tightened with each passing second. Who recorded this? He asked, voice flat. We're checking CCTV. It was uploaded from a staff phone. A temp cleaner. Daniel. Find him. He left his shift last night. Didn't report today. Henry's voice dropped. Send his name to security. Notify the police. He looked at Sonia then, her face drained of color. I'm so sorry. She shook her head, lips trembling. Henry, I swear I didn't. You don't have to explain, he said quietly. I know it wasn't you. But everyone else will think. I don't care what they think. Just then, Madame Agnes stepped in, holding a shawl. She glanced at the phone, and her expression hardened. Whoever did this has no soul, she said. They want to shame you, Henry, and destroy her. Henry nodded grimly. We're not letting them win. That evening, he called an emergency meeting in the hospital boardroom. The projector glowed with a still image from the video. Senior staff sat stiff in their chairs. Henry stood at the head of the table. Calm, cold, furious. Whoever leaked this will face prosecution, he said. And for the record, Nurse Sonia has done nothing wrong. The room stayed silent. The head of IT cleared his throat. Sir, the clip came from Daniel's phone. He was a temporary cleaner assigned to Ward B. He fled, but the police picked him up at Iya bus stop. Henry folded his arms. Why did he do it? He confessed. Someone paid him to record anything scandalous. Paid him? Yes, sir. By a rival hospital group. They wanted to ruin our reputation before next week's expansion announcement. Henry closed his eyes for a moment, letting that truth settle. When he opened them again, his voice was sharper. And anyone caught spreading this slander will be dismissed. This hospital stands for compassion, not gossip. If that's too hard to understand, the door is right there. No one moved. Back in her ward, Sonia scrolled through the comments again. She couldn't stop. Every cruel word stuck like a splinter. She planned it. She trapped him. She's acting innocent. Her throat tightened. Her hands shook. The phone slid from her grip. She curled into herself and wept. Madame Agnes sat beside her, rubbing her back gently. "My daughter, don't let them break you. They're saying I pretended to save you for attention," Sonia whispered. "That I'm sleeping my way up. That I wanted fame. And yet," the old woman said softly, "you never wanted anything but to help. That is why God chose you." There was a knock. Henry entered, his face hard with anger. "They caught Daniel," he said. "He confessed. He was paid to hurt our image. You were just the target." Sonia looked up. "So they used me?" Henry nodded, kneeling beside her bed. "You stepped into this mess because of me. Because of Mama. I should have protected you better. You did what you could." "No," he said quietly. "Not enough." Madame Agnes touched her son's shoulder. "Stop apologizing. Start acting." He looked up at her. "And what should I do, Mama?" She smiled faintly. "Tell the world the truth." The next morning, a crowd gathered in the hospital lobby. Press, staff, patients, cameras. Henry stepped up to the podium beside Sonia and his mother. His voice was clear, unshakable. "Yesterday, a private video of me and Nurse Sonia was leaked without consent," he began. "The story attached to it is false." Flashbulbs sparked. Fingers tapped phones. "This woman," he said, pointing to Sonia, "is not someone to shame. She is the reason my mother is alive today. When others walked away, she stayed. She represents the best of this hospital." Sonia looked down, blinking back tears. "To those spreading lies," Henry continued, "remember, kindness, not wealth, defines who we are. And to Nurse Sonia, I owe my family's life." He stepped aside. Madame Agnes took the mic, her hands trembling. "She is like a daughter to me," she said, "and I would be proud to see her become part of our family." A gasp rippled through the crowd. Sonia's eyes widened. Henry turned slowly, a small smile playing on his lips. "Mama," he said, shaking his head. She winked. "You're welcome." Applause thundered through the lobby. Hashtags exploded online. Hashtag Nurse of Kindness. Hashtag Henry and Sonia. Hashtag Compassion over Gossip. By nightfall, the story had transformed from scandal to inspiration, from shame to grace. The nurse who had once stood alone in a ward had become a symbol, and in the quiet of her room, Sonia whispered to herself, "Maybe this is what mercy looks like." But as the noise settled and joy returned, something else was beginning, quieter, deeper, and far more dangerous than gossip. Love, and a question neither of them could answer yet. Was the world ready for it? The hospital was quiet well past midnight. The hum of the air conditioning, the soft clink of equipment, the distant echo of footsteps down empty corridors. It felt like a different world from the chaos that had ruled her life a year earlier. Sonia sat by the window in her modest office, holding a small photo frame. It was a picture of herself in her scrubs, beside Madame Agnes, taken just after she regained consciousness that night. The old woman was weak, but she was alive, her eyes full of gratitude. Sonia touched the glass as though it were fragile, fading. Henry knocked, then entered softly, carrying 2 cups of tea. He set one beside her. "You're still awake," he said. His voice had that familiar warmth, soft in the emptiness. "I couldn't sleep," she admitted. "Too many thoughts." He sat beside her, handing her the cup. They sat together in silence for a long moment. The memory of that night, the flatline, the defibrillator, his mother slipping away, haunted them both. "Do you ever regret it?" Henry asked quietly, finally breaking the silence. "The way we started?" Sonia turned to him. "No, not ever." She paused, eyes wet with unshed tears. "But sometimes I wonder, would it have all been different if I hadn't pushed the drip, or if I'd frozen instead?" He took her hand. "Then we'd have a different story. But ours is this one, and I'm grateful for every moment, good and bad, that led us here." They leaned their foreheads together. The city lights of Lagos glittered in the distance, like constellations in an urban sky. The next morning, Sonia woke to Agnes's laughter. Her daughter had climbed into the bed, tiny arms wrapped around her mother's neck. "Good morning, Mummy Nurse," Agnes said sleepily, yawning. Henry stood by the doorway, coffee in hand, watching them with a fond smile. "I think she meant best nurse," he joked. Sonia laughed. "She always means best." After breakfast, Henry surprised her with a new project. He led her through a wing of the hospital they'd renovated. New pediatric ward, brighter colors, windows that let sunlight pour in. "This wing will be dedicated to her," he said, gesturing to Agnes. "So children here grow up knowing they matter." She squeezed his hand. "You're trying to make her see the world differently. And you taught me how." He hugged her from the side. "Thank you." But the work was never done. That afternoon brought a visitor, one of the senior nurses Dr. Sam had dismissed. Her name was Esther. She had stayed out of the media storm, but tonight she knocked on Sonia's door. She entered hesitantly. "Nurse Sonia, I need to apologize. I watched you that night. I saw the video. I judged you. I turned my back. I'm sorry." Sonia's heart pounded. She rose, calm but firm. "Thank you for coming. That means something." Esther's eyes filled. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd like to make amends. Can I help in any way?" Sonia studied her. The hospital had grown. There was work. She nodded. "We need staff who believe in healing, not just policies. If you can teach, mentor, if you can help those younger than you, then yes. You are welcome to do that here. But this time, walk toward, not away." Esther's shoulders sagged in relief. "Thank you. I will." It felt like a circle closing. Months went by. The hospital's reputation grew beyond the city. People from rural states now came because they'd heard stories of how a nurse refused to let fear win. Televisions did features. Newspapers wrote about the Compassion Wing, that pediatric wing Henry dedicated to Agnes. But beneath the press and public praise, Sonia never changed her routine. She still made night rounds. She still visited bed 3. She still whispered the oath she once made. "Stay with me, Ma." One evening, Agnes came to the hospital after school. She wore a little nurse's cap that Henry had bought. She held her mother's hand as they walked the corridor. "Mummy, will I ever be like you?" Agnes asked. Sonia knelt to her level. "If you want to be better than me, yes. But if you just want to be kind, that will be enough." Agnes nodded seriously. "I want to help people too." Somewhere in that sentence echoed the memory of a cracked phone and trembling fingers. 5 years later, a ceremony for the hospital's 10th anniversary. The plaza was full of staff, patients, dignitaries, children in school uniforms who had been born and treated there. A banner read, 10 years of compassion, healing, and hope. Sonia, now in fine attire but still unmistakably the same nurse at heart, stood with Henry, their teenage Agnes now helping hand out flowers. Kelechi, the younger child, skipped at their sides. Henry took the mic. 10 years ago, a single act changed the course of this place. A nurse stayed. His gaze found Sonia. She stayed when no one else would. Because of her, mothers live. Because of her, faith in humanity grows. Because of her, we found love. Applause thundered. Sonia blinked back tears as she watched those she had healed, lead, inspired. After speeches and celebrations, she walked alone to the place where her journey began, the old ward entrance. The camera corner. The crack in the wall. The place where she first whispered, "Stay with me, Ma." She laid her hand on the same metal railing. The night was quiet now. The hospital lights glowed like sentinels. She closed her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. Not to some higher power, but to the version of herself who once trembled with fear and hope in equal measure. Because that choice, to stay, had changed more than one life. It changed hers, and many others. She turned. The doors to the hospital opened behind her. Henry stood in the frame, smiling. Agnes and Kelechi rushed to her. She walked toward them, each step sure, grounded. Together, they went inside, into the light. Pushpin, what did this story mean to you? Backhand index pointing down, leave your thoughts in the comments. We read every one. Bell, if you believe kindness can change a life, a hospital, a world, subscribe and stay with us. Because sometimes, one quiet decision becomes the beginning of everything.